Hello everyone, my name is Jenna.
And my name is Charlene, and today we will be discussing arguably the most controversial topic of our generation, social media. Now, before we get started, just by a show of hands, how many of you have already checked social media today? What about in the past hour? The past 10 minutes? Did you know that people will spend approximately 864 hours a year on social media? That is about 36 straight days of scrolling. In fact, by the time I finish the sentence, millions of people will have already scrolled, clicked, liked, or posted on Instagram. But what is all this time costing us?
Our generation, Generation Z, and now Generation A, is the first to grow up with social media. Instead of teddy bears, we had TikTok. Instead of storybooks, we had YouTube videos. And is that a success? Is that a setup for success or failure? Well, we can argue the benefits and the downsides of online exposure, but in this rapidly evolving modern world, it's ultimately inevitable. We can't avoid it, so it begs the question, do we own technology or does it own us? And it's more important than ever to look beyond the screen, and to do this, we must explore both the empowering and erosive impact of social media on the next generation.
When discussing the downsides of social media, we often turn to things such as comparison, jealousy, and insecurities, which could be the most prominent effect that social media has on our youth.
Social media platforms create an environment where young people are constantly exposed to curated versions of other people's lives, a distorted picture that doesn't reflect the reality of their own imperfections and struggles. We see people posting pictures with smiles on their faces, perfect lighting, and we forget that social media acts as a highlight reel rather than a hit of reality. And as a result of influencer culture, we start chasing an ideal life that never really existed to begin with. It tricks us into thinking that a messy room, a pair of worn out shoes, or a bad day, things that are completely normal, suddenly feel like signs that we aren't good enough. Social media hides the messy parts of people's lives, and this lack of transparency affects the perception of ourselves and our own experiences. Rates of poor self-esteem, anxiety, depression have all risen, and many young people are feeling isolated and inadequate. Social media tells us that we're missing out, but the truth is, we're just human. Now, I do have some bad news to break to you all. Did you know there's a new virus on the rise called virosis, and there might be a quarantine in the foreseeable future? Now, what if I told you that's entirely made up and completely untrue and totally misinformation? And young minds are so susceptible to false information, it can be so easy to believe what you see online. Charlene will now discuss the impacts of misinformation online.
So, just quickly, has anyone heard of or seen the Netflix show Adolescence? It's been trending recently. So just some background information on the show. The idea for it came to its star, Stephen Graham, after a series of disturbing crimes involving the murder of several teenage girls by teenage boys in the UK. He went on to co-write the show about a 13-year-old boy named Jamie who murders his classmate Katie after she rejects him. The show explores the influence of social media, as well as how toxic masculinity is often projected onto young boys through these platforms. However, it isn't only online misogyny. Social media is a breeding ground for misinformation, a place where facts and opinions are often blurred. Adolescence serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of withdrawing from online discourse to re-engage with real human connection. A reminder to families that emotional support is crucial to keeping teenagers from falling down online rabbit holes into toxic ideologies that will affect how they see themselves, others, and the world they'll grow up to influence.
Now, generally when we talk about social media, we're bombarded with negativity. It's like hearing a TEDx talk warning us about the dangers of scrolling. But let's be honest, social media isn't all bad. And that's exactly it. It's not all bad, right?
So, have any of you heard of the USC Ice Bucket Challenge? Maybe you were nominated, maybe you've seen it on your social media feeds, or maybe for the parents you even had to help your kids with it. So, for those of you who don't know, the USC Ice Bucket Challenge is to take a bucket of ice cold water, dump it over your head, post it to social media, and nominate someone else, all for the purpose of raising awareness for mental health. This was originally based on the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge from 2014, which was to raise awareness for ALS, a neurological disorder that causes loss of muscle control. Back then, the movement circulated social media, with over 17 million people participating, raising a total of $220 million for ALS research. This is just one of the many examples of how the new generations are using social media for activism by raising awareness, mobilizing support, and empowering marginalized voices.
And finally, let's not forget the roots of where this all started: communication and connection with others. Without social media, I couldn't have texted Charlene to ask her if she was ready for her speech tonight. Now, I'm sure a lot of us have heard of Get Ready With Me's and book talks, basically these sub-communities online that brought people with common interests together to create stronger bonds. That's the pinnacle of online connectivity. We have social media to thank for making it easier than ever to stay in touch. In fact, just last week, social media allowed me to contact a friend that I hadn't seen in months and check in on how she was doing. We spent hours talking about what we had been up to and discussing our plans for the future. And as fun as it might have been sending letters via pigeons, we can't overlook how social media has revolutionized the way we stay in touch with our loved ones, no matter the distance.
Ultimately, social media is not just affecting our new generation. It is a tool through which they will change the world. It is a double-edged sword, presenting critical challenges ranging from the spread of misinformation to the illusion of perfection, both of which distorts reality and fuels comparison. However, it also offers us a platform for connection and activism, allowing us to build communities and push for change. As our generation grows and the next one comes, we face the responsibility of using social media wisely, but also the potential to cultivate great things with the technology we are privileged to have. Now, the future may be technological, but it is also guided by humanity, and how we choose to use these platforms today will determine the world we will create.
So next time you're scrolling, just remember it's a fine line between catching up and getting caught up in it all. Thank you all so much for your time and attention.